He's got a little pig. Hi. It has been a crazy couple of weeks over here, in the best way possible, but crazy nonetheless. And the result is that I've gotten a chance to spend a lot of time with family. We're all together for the first time in, well, a couple of years. And, let's see, last Christmas found me in Sydney, Australia, surrounded by amazing friends, but also under some restrictions, and unable to come back home and visit or even just see the people that my family are growing into. What's amazing is leaving your home and then coming back and realizing that your family's become friends and that you can get to know who they are again and also use them as a reference in order to understand how much you've grown. And that is a luxury that I'm honestly have taken for granted for quite a while, and I don't want to. So in this new year, Happy New Year by the way, I want to spend a lot of time with them, and the result is that I'm not making the normal letter this week. Instead, I asked you for some questions last week, and you gave me a whole truckload of them, and they were all absolutely wonderful. I wrote them down. I'm going to see if I can answer them. I'll also add some different pieces that I'll put in writing down below, either in the comments or in the description, or even I might just message people that sent me direct questions, and that would be fun as well. I don't know how this is gonna go, so let's just try. How old are you? I turned 23 in August, but sometimes I feel like an 8-year-old, and sometimes I feel like an 80-year-old, specifically in the morning. Wide or telephoto lenses? I use both. This is right now at 45 millimeters. What is your usual lighting setup for your films? Well, that's a bit of an interesting one because my own approach to lighting has shifted drastically in the last few months since coming here. I originally was working on commercials as generally a DP and a colorist. There are two jobs that kind of go hand in hand and all focus on the aesthetic of an image. And I was obsessed with lights, but right now I have a tube light behind me. I'll show that to you. Whoa, look at this. Oh, look at me. Ooh. All lights have voices. And I have a lantern here, which is a very large fixture, and that's how you get pretty soft light. It bounces around a million different ways and then it eventually hits your skin and hopefully looks okay. But this is a rather unusual setup since I'm filming indoors. Usually I'm outside and just using natural light. It's incredible what you can pull out of incredibly sensitive cameras like these. What equipment and software do you use? I've cycled through a lot of equipment over the years, but right now I use DaVinci Resolve for a lot of my editing and color work, and I use a couple of different Sony cameras. I'll give you more specific information down below. Where and how did you learn filmmaking? I guess the short answer to this is that I haven't had any sort of formal education in film, but what I have been two incredibly important things in hindsight. One is that I was exploring film at the perfect time where the internet could give you answers to any question. If you have anything you want to learn in relation to most creative arts, there's somebody out there that's sharing incredibly useful knowledge. The other thing is that I had time to fail, and I still have a lot of failures that I'm racking up in order to figure this out. I've been obsessed with storytelling all of my life, and I cycled through different mediums. Filmmaking tied them all together because I could play music, I could write things, anything that I wanted to do could get involved in filmmaking. As a result, this is yet another part of my education, so thank you for teaching me. What's involved in the process of making your videos? There are a few different components. There's a voiceover, there's all the different visuals that I have to pick up. Usually it begins with a sense of the letter that I want to write. It doesn't always start with the letter written out entirely, but at least the sense of it is there. And then I record music and I edit and adjust it and usually hate it and then realize, I should just release anything anyways, and then it's okay. What inspires your style of storytelling? The style of this channel is definitely evolving and I'm still figuring it out with you as a guide as well. Well, the backing to it, the inspiration was all out of my thought process of reconnecting with social media in a positive way, as opposed to what I'd done in the past. What came out of that is that I sat down and said, well, I feel really special when I receive a letter, so why don't I try to make a little video letter every week and try to combine a postcard with some words that I've written down. What's my favorite movie? Oh, don't ask me that. Even if I say 5 favorites, I'll just look back at this video and say, oh, you idiot, why didn't you mention such and such? So I'll probably adjust this in the comments or in the description. But I do really, really enjoy a lot of Taika Waititi films. I really, really liked Boy. I think I was just old enough so that it left a big impression on me when I first saw it, and I was thinking about it for the longest time afterwards. I am also absolutely enamored with a few different classics, such as Dead Poets Society, and there's so many to choose from. I'll have to add more. Who was the most inspirational person you've met? I really like this question. It makes me feel happy because I've run into a lot of inspirational people, and in addition, quite a few of them are my friends, and well, that's really special to have those people in your life. Inevitably, since this channel is based off of sharing things that I love and care about, I'll be sharing them and hopefully making things with them. What are 3 books that formed you? I really like this question, and I no doubt will go back and list a million titles, but I do know that 3 books have had a big impact on me. 2 of them when I was very young, and 1 of them pretty recently. So the first would be The Hobbit, and I was always obsessed with the world of Tolkien. That book will be immortalized for the rest of my life. Also, The 13½ Lives of Captain Bluebear. It's a book that my mother got at a thrift store for 10 cents, and it set off my love of reading like no other book, and it has a whole series. The world is rich. Walter Moores, I think is his name, wrote an incredible set of novels, and some of them even have textbook pages about the world. He's that specific. But there is one book that I was recommended recently upon coming to the US, and it's the first in a series called The Kingkiller Chronicles. It's called The Name of the Wind. The world is incredible, the plot is rich, there's so much to love inside that book. When my best friend recommended it to me, I was just blown away, and I'm already thinking about rereading it again, so it's very good. Are you going to live where you are forever? Are you planning on moving? I count myself incredibly lucky that while I was moving as a young kid, I enjoyed most places that we went to for various reasons, and so it makes it a little bit difficult once I have this option now to say, hey, you can go anywhere. I'm used to being told where I should move, so I'm slowly figuring that out. But I really love this valley, and I love the people that I'm getting to know, and I think I really like this place. Can you give us a quick life story? I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved around a lot. I had love, loss, I've made mistakes, I've had victories, I've done things I'm proud of, I've had incredible friends, and a lot of persevering love throughout my whole life. That is the makings of the hero's journey that I always reflect on, especially in the new year. Happy New Year again. What interested you in sharing your life? Well, at its core, I want to be an artist. And I think that being an artist is sharing different parts of yourself in different mediums. So this channel was another medium. What are your interests? I've had a lot of interests throughout the years, but some of the ones that have stuck and I currently partake in are things like rock climbing, playing in Irish sessions. I loved playing all the variety of folk music that you can play in a pub session, because it rides this interesting anomaly in the musical sphere of not quite being a community event, but not quite being a concert as well. So it's a great place to learn and to explore. I'm also definitely interested in reading, and I have a big pile of books that I'm trying to get through. Besides that, I'm currently trying to learn how to cook and making burnt meteorites. Everything's burnt. I'm ruining it all. What has been your journey so far with a creative career? I think the only real answer I can give to this is that my journey has been one of learning so far. I know that might be a cop-out. I can give you the specifics. I worked freelance on my own. off and on trying to figure out how to make a bit of a side hustle with filmmaking. I never took any sort of education on it, so it was just jumping in and trying to seem like I knew what I was doing, which I didn't. I entered a couple of competitions. One of them sent me to Australia. I got a chance to work with Rode microphones for a while, had some wonderful experiences, got a sense of what it's like to kind of create commercial content on a more social media side of things. Decided that wasn't quite for me and switched on over here while working with a couple of companies that are either startups or working remotely here as a colorist. That's a hodgepodge of things, but amidst that, that's the filmmaking side of things, and I've been interested in exploring music, and I've been playing live for quite a while. I only recently recorded an album and put that out. It was the first time I'd sat down and recorded things that usually only exist in live performance, and that has been so much fun. It's something I was scared of before. In addition to that, I've been dipping my toes into the world of physical art and prints and trying to make as many different things as I can to experiment a bit. And that is all code for, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, but I like it. And I've had this year here to experiment and to take as many different avenues as possible and see what works and what doesn't, and hopefully start to make money after that. Do you get lonely? How do you overcome loneliness? I will admit that upon reaching this valley, everything that could be different was different, because I came from a bustling city where I was playing music every night and surrounded by people, but over here the community is so warm that even though all the mountains might scream isolation, you always have people to turn to, and as I've gotten to know everybody here, it's incredible. I'm not lonely for long, and when I am lonely, all you have to do is reach out to somebody and learn something new. Is there anyone special in your life? There is, but she is a small dog reminiscent of a croissant. Do you have any favorite artists? I have a ton of favorite artists. In fact, getting to know you has revealed quite a few people to me that are so talented, and I've been lucky enough to communicate with, well, people that I admire. I also have some incredible friends that make incredible things, so I'll barrage you with just all the wonderful stuff they make. What are your hopes and dreams? That's a big question. I'll narrow it down by just giving one of each. One hope I have is to figure out how to make the work of an artist support me, and a big dream that I have is to run a bed and breakfast, just a small one, next to a trail that people with a lot of questions frequent so that I can play them music and cook them food. And hopefully learn how to be a better cook by then. Where did you live in Australia, and how is it different from where you live now? I lived in Sydney for 2 years, and going from there to this valley, anything that could be different was different. The result was that, well, the food, the density of people, how I get around. I didn't need a car in Sydney regularly. Lots of differences. What brings you joy? You. Did you go to college? Why or why not? In my own situation, I studied economics for about 1.5 years before I got the opportunity to work in Sydney, Australia as a filmmaker. I took that opportunity, and I wouldn't change a thing, but now I think that I'm just old enough so that if I went back to university, I would take far better advantage of all the faculties and resources and the education available there. As a result, I've been considering going back for a while, and I might. If I did, although I'm interested in economics, I would go back and study botany or ethnobotany. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen. What is something you wish you could change? You know, there's a lot of things I used to want to change, and I did change some of them, but now it's a good moment where you can look around and say, everything finds its way eventually. I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you. How did you develop a passion for Celtic music? I have loved Celtic music for a really long time. It originally started with my family, and they introduced me to the rhythm as my sisters at a young age did Irish dance. But as time went on, I became enamored with the idea of an Irish session, and as a guitarist, I started to accompany a lot of the Irish music, and it offered this space where I could experiment that I loved. Have you been in a serious relationship before? And what have you learned about love and about yourself through it all? In response to this, without sharing too much, I'd say that A big part of my life started when I could look at myself in the mirror and say, you have truly loved somebody. And that came from a variety of sources, not just romantic relationships, but mostly from family and from friends and the development of love as something holistic. What I've learned and continuously learn is that love is action, and it's also the sharing of yourself unconditionally. At least that's what I currently feel. And the world is just better when you love people, right? What is the greatest gift you've ever been given? The most honest answer for me is time. When people have given me their time and you have that moment where you're sitting with somebody, talking, or just sitting in silence, and you know that neither of you want to be anywhere else or anyone else, that's the best gift. But in terms of physical gifts, I can show you a couple of things that I've really enjoyed that I got for Christmas. My mom made me this, and I absolutely love otters, and she drew all of that with a heat knife and just burned it into the wood. It is so, so beautiful. That's really special to me. Do I get paid for things like my recent album? So all I have right now are donation links that you can choose, and if you want to support this work, then you can put some money that way. That's the only source of income that I have for this channel, because it's very, very young and I'm still figuring this out. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to release the physical items that I'm working on, and those have been the culmination of a lot of learning, as well as that album. On Spotify there's a way to donate, but besides that, you know, I just hope you enjoyed. What is the last time you felt truly happy? Upon reading this message, what's a small personal dream of yours that you don't usually share? I would like to have a dog again. The dog that raised me, Midas was his name. He passed away just before I went to Australia, and since coming back and spending 2 years without a pet, I'd like a dog. But that being said, due to my family, I currently have 3 around, and I am obsessed with them. Okay, I don't know how I'm doing, but I'm going to go and ask my family some questions.
What do you want to know about that boy? Slow down. Okay, no, I have to stop. We have Tilly, this one here. We have Tula. They're mini dachshunds, and they're 2.5. They're sisters, and they're really cute.
Oh my gosh. Well, we've had dogs and cats, of course, a various variety of each. We've had chickens.
I had a mouse once that I adopted for a day. He was wild.
And 3 goats, Guinevere, Hermes, and Costello.
Ducks, cats, dogs, hamsters, rabbits, goats, chickens, more chickens. More chickens, I don't know.
You were really a fairly good child. You have your moments. Around 2, you had a little bit of a revolution.
You had a temper. So most of the time you were a normal kid, but every now and then, up until you were maybe until at least 3.
Angry. I just remember, I remember when you were really, really young, you threw a train at Abuela.
And you were very, very obsessed with trains for the longest. And then after that was the obsession of Legos. And there were Legos everywhere.
Beyond that, the one thing I remember of you as a kid was your ability to make sure that all of the other kids were around you were involved somehow, were partaking, having fun, included. I particularly remember one of your birthdays where we had the next door neighbor, John, who was maybe 7. And then we had the next door neighbor who was 17. And we had several other kids in between. And somehow you were able to get them all to play together, to enjoy it, and make sure John wasn't excluded.
What part of your childhood are we talking about exactly? As an older child, I remember you were always happy. I mean, you have just been like the most mellow, everything is fine, even if it's a dumpster fire. We just warm ourselves by the dumpster fire kind of guy, you know what I mean? And that's very inspiring. We are all related, and we're all different people.
That's a cop-out answer.
You are similar to us since you are a very creative person, and I think we're all creative people. You are different because you only use shampoo.
Rarely.
I'm a growth. I'm a twin.
You are perhaps a little bit more spur of the moment, likely to just go do something, where Paola likes to plan things out a little bit more. Liana will go do stuff, but she's great at planning events or whatever to include people.
When I think of something that makes me happy, I would say Mr. Darcy really likes to visit this house, and so he likes to hang out behind the fireplace, and I love to just sit and watch him because he looks so happy. And yeah, he is happy at home, but I think it's just he likes it here. So yeah, he loves his visits, and he's really cute. His little bunny tail is so cute.
Being around family, it sounds ridiculous. What has made me consistently happy is the nostalgic familiarity. Even the irritation, the moments of irritation are hilariously familiar, and that gives me a sense of peace and joy.
Playing with my kids and their friends. And that sounds funny because my kids are adults, but we just happen to have everybody here for Christmas, which is every year we say, oh, this is the last time we'll have everybody for Christmas. And of course we didn't have you last year, and next year your middle sister will be married, so it'll be a little different, even though probably still be here. So it's just fun to have the whole family for Christmas and to play together.
Tilly.
She's got the weirdest
Tilly.
face going on.
Ah! Oh, departing dog.
On the greener pastures.
She's the grumpy dachshund.
Yeah.
This one is the sweet, laid-back dachshund, but this one just
Oh! That was nasty. Thank you for those questions. I know I couldn't get to all of them, but if you have any, always feel free to ask, and eventually I'll get to your comment and answer as best as I can. And with that, I'm going to sneak back to my family. We're going to watch Pirates of the Caribbean, and I will leave you with some things that made me smile this week. It's like dragon scales.
Pretty fragile dragons.
Yeah, very fragile dragons. No, don't touch my scales!